This video is sponsored by Squarespace. So you have your first wedding coming up and you're freaking out just a little bit because you're not sure what to bring with you. Now, trust me, wedding days are extremely daunting, but honestly, you don't really need that much. Take it from me, a wedding photographer who's been shooting weddings for over 12 years now. So let's calm that anxiety down just a little bit and talk about what you should bring with you to your first wedding. Now, keep in mind, I'm going to be talking from the perspective of someone who wants to become a wedding photographer for a longer period of time, not just someone who has picked up a camera and is taking photos. However, you can learn from this list as well, but we're thinking long-term here so you can create a full career out of being a wedding photographer like I have. So the main thing we're going to be talking about here is the bare minimum gear that you probably should bring with you to a wedding day. Now, obviously the first thing is going to be a camera. I'm not going to sit here and give you suggestions on which camera body. One thing I would say to get out of your mind is the whole fact of there being a perfect camera and which brand is better. Just forget all of that. That stuff does not matter. If you already have a camera or you're looking at one, just get a decent camera that works. But the main thing you need is a dual card slot camera. This is going to be a camera that has 2 spots for SD cards or a CF Express card and an SD card, just 2 places for data to be saved. This is extremely important, and take it from me, someone who risked his whole life and shot for the first 3 years on a single card SD camera. When I started, I didn't have any nice education like this online for me to watch, so I went with the Canon 6D and just shot with that. And really, the reason you don't want to do this is with one card slot, if anything happens to that SD card, if something happens to your camera, you don't have any files saved. With a dual card slot camera, you can set your camera to take pictures to both of the SD cards. That way, if you lose one or if one gets corrupted, you have another SD card that is also saving your photos. Again, we're thinking long term here. If you're taking people's money to take their photos, you have to absolutely at least have a dual card camera. You'll hear a lot of people online arguing about full frame versus crop sensor, but honestly, that does not matter as much as a dual card slot. I've been using Fujifilm cameras for almost the full 12 years of me being a wedding photographer, and I've been on an APS-C that whole time and it has not been a problem. The photos look just fine. So again, pick a camera body that talks to you, pick a camera body that your friends are using that seems like it's going to be good, but make sure it has dual card slots. After you've picked up your body, the next thing is going to be lenses. Now, we're not going to get a huge amount of lenses. This is your first wedding. You want to keep it pretty simple. There's going to be 2 approaches to this. You can use a single zoom lens, or I would say bring at least 2 prime lenses. Now, if you're totally new to photography, you may be familiar with zoom lenses, which are the ones that can zoom in and out, but prime lenses are lenses that cannot zoom. The advantage to a prime lens is usually the aperture is going to be wider, letting in more light so that when it gets dark, you can actually get more of that light in. So you'll see zoom lenses are typically around f2.8 or higher, whereas prime lenses you can get down to f1.2, 1.4, so on and so forth. Another thing that I personally like about prime lenses better is artistically, I know exactly what I'm doing at all times. I shoot on prime lenses only. I do not like zoom lenses just because like you're zooming in and out and it's never exact. Whereas like if I have a 35 mil on my camera, I know what it looks like. I know where I need to stand. You get used to it over time. So choose one of those lanes. Now, if you're going to go the zoom lens route, I'd say to get a nice wide 24-70. This is basically going to cover the full wedding day for the most part. Yes, you might need something longer than that 70 mil, but 24-70 is going to get you through it. Larger group photos, 24 mil is wide enough for that. And then during your ceremonies, that 70 is going to get you the reach that you need. And again, keep in mind, we're talking about starting wedding photography. So you're not shooting huge ballrooms and all that. That's for later. You'll get more gear for that. But for your first wedding, a nice 24-70 if you want to go the zoom route. Now, if you're going to go with prime lenses, first thing I would say is you need 2 camera bodies. Do not do prime lenses with a single camera because you're going to be switching your lenses too often and it's going to just make the whole day kind of fall apart. So 2 camera bodies if you want to do prime lenses. The absolute must-have for prime lenses is going to be a 35 and an 85. And honestly, I would tell you that most of the time you're probably going to be shooting on that 35. But then when you get to portraits, when you get to ceremony time, that's when you'll be using the 85. Now, realistically, I would say you need a 24, 35, 50, and 85. But again, this is our first wedding. We're starting out. We just want to start getting results and start getting experience, start booking more weddings. And if you're curious about more than just gear, definitely check out this other video up here I made, which will cover more of the in and outs of the wedding day and things you should be doing before the wedding to give you a smoother wedding day. Now, if you're using the 2-camera body prime lens method, basically what you're going to do is pick one camera to be your wide lens camera and the other one to be your tight lens camera. Then you shoot with both of them at the same time, so you're easily able to switch between the 2 cameras and get shots that you need. So again, if this is your first wedding and you do not have enough funds to have 2 cameras, go the zoom lens route. You can go to prime lens later on once you start making some income at your weddings. The next must-have that you definitely need to bring with you to a wedding, and please God, bring it with you, is a speed light. Now, if you're getting started and you've heard about off-camera flash and you think you need all these different flashes, you don't. If we're going that single camera route with the zoom lens, I would say bring one speed light with you and you should be good to go. Again, I shot the first 8 years as a wedding photographer only using flashes on my cameras, and I got great results. Now, again, it's not the best approach overall, but I did it for like 8 years. It's really not a problem. For the speed light, you want a nice, larger size speed light. I love the Godox brand because they're cheap and they work well. This way that if something happens to your flash, it gets damaged, you lose it, you're not spending a whole bunch of money to get another one, especially if you're starting out. I personally use the V862, which is a super old model at this point, but if it ain't broken, don't fix it. I think a lot of people now are on the V1 or V1 Pro, but Godox has a lot of awesome flashes. Just pick up one of the ones that are a little bit bigger. Don't get the smaller ones. There's like a 350. Don't get the small ones. They're not going to be enough for a wedding. With this one flash, you're going to be attaching it on top of your camera and using that to light your scenes. You're also going to want to buy the MagMod MagSphere. This is a modifier for your flash that will go on the top, and it gives you a lot of versatility. People online will tell you you don't need it, and yes, you can get by without it, but trust me, if you just want your flash to work and you want it to look good, just get a MagSphere. Trust me on that one. Honestly, too, if you're starting out and you're a little scared of flash and you want someone to explain it in a way that's just like very straightforward to get great results, check out my flash course. I don't want to sit here trying to sell you things, but really, like, I'm teaching it to you just like, hey, do it like this, 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 and you're good. Giving you some ways to deal with different things and also giving you real life scenarios of weddings that I'm shooting and how that's going out. So definitely check that out if you're a little scared of flash. Now, if you have a little bit of extra money to spend, you can get an extra flash as well and use it as an off-camera flash. For this, to keep it cheap, I would still get a speed light and a MagSphere for that one as well. This way you have the one flash on your camera and then you have another one off camera. You can use that to give you some dynamic lighting, some side lighting and things. Put it in different places during the wedding reception. Again, this is not a must-have. The one speed light on your camera is what you absolutely need. And then off-camera flash is something I would say to get into once you start getting your feet wet in weddings. Right now, my setup consists of 2 flashes, one for each camera because I'm using 2 cameras. And again, going back to the prime lens setup, if you're gonna go that route with 2 camera bodies, you need a flash for each camera. Then outside of that, I have 2 other speed lights as my off-camera flashes, and I'm getting great results from that. You may have heard of strobes like the AD200. These are going to give you a lot more power, but you can definitely get by with speed lights. But trust me, they're not the best option. You can still do it though. Now, one thing that's not a necessity, but something I would definitely say to look into as you're doing this long term is going to be building yourself a website with this video sponsor, Squarespace. Squarespace makes it quick and easy for you to build a website for yourself. And trust me, if you want to start a career as a wedding photographer, having a website is very important. Squarespace's platform is easy to use and their pre-made templates make it very quick for you to just go ahead, put your portfolio online, and get a website that people can see. You can easily buy yourself a domain as well and get everything under your brand that you need on your Squarespace website. You can also customize your site so it doesn't look like anyone else's. I've been doing that with mine recently and I really like the way it has turned out. And speaking of the long term as well, Squarespace has so many features that you can grow into as your business grows and you start taking more weddings. You can schedule meetings with your couples, you can send out invoices, you can sell physical and digital products, and even have a member area on your website. So if you're looking to build a wedding photography business, I highly recommend Squarespace. So check out the link in the description below for 10% off of your first website or domain. So far, we have a dual card slot camera body, a zoom lens, a speed light, and then the next most important thing is going to be fast SD cards. Now, I know right now SD cards are expensive, but make sure you're getting the faster SD cards. Do not cheap out and get the cheapy lame ones that are not fast. Trust me, you will have write errors to your SD cards and you will not like the results you're going to get from having that. I've been using SanDisk since I started wedding photography, and these SD cards have never let me down. I'm talking, I've even ran one of mine through the wash and the dryer, and all the data on it was just fine. Now, obviously, SD cards can fail, but I love the SanDisk Extreme SD cards. Now, because I've been shooting on cameras that have like 102 megapixels, I've been using the 300 megabit SD cards, but they are mad expensive. So I would not suggest that, but get something around the 170 to 200, 250 megabyte range. This is going to give you a fast enough read and write on most cameras. Just remember, the more megapixels your camera has, the more you need a faster SD card. Generally, I buy all my SD cards the same and set them up as sets. Since I'm shooting with 2 cameras, every set is a 4 set for me. And then I label all of them so that I know which ones go together as a set. I do format these between weddings. I know a lot of people, oh, buy SD cards and never format. Don't do that. Don't do that. First off, it's mad expensive. And second off, it just doesn't make sense. I format my cards. Now, I do have a fair amount of sets. I think I have like 5 to 6 sets of SD cards. So I won't use the same one between every wedding, clearly. But I'm also not sitting here with like 200 SD cards because I got to buy new ones every time because I have so many. Like long term, that's not going to work out for you. Get 5, 6, 7 sets. This way, you know, you shoot on 1, you shoot on 2, you shoot on 3, shoot on 4. Great, let me go back to 1 again and format that and just kind of go through it like that. Because the real thing, which we'll be talking about after we get done with all this gear, is how you're going to be backing up, because no one talks about that. Everyone's concerned about the wedding day and the photos and the cameras and the settings, but trust me, if you're trying to make money and turn this into a business, if you're not backing up your photos, you're going to get burned at some point in your business, and it will be just about as bad as my 1-star story, which y'all can watch here if you're curious. Now that you have your faster SD cards, another small accessory I love to bring with me to weddings, which I would definitely say to start bringing with you early on, is some type of continuous LED light. The continuous LED light for me has worked out extremely well for sparkler exits, and sometimes during the day when it's just a little dark and you need to just put a little light real quick, you don't feel like taking out a flash and figuring out the settings and all that, some type of small continuous LED light is amazing. Now, if you want to see how I do sparkler exits and my approach, I have a video up here, which I do need to update, but it's a great video to check out. Now, I was using Lume Cubes before, but they don't seem like they've been very focused on photographers recently. They're pushing more for like creators and people who use their iPhones to make TikToks and stuff. So honestly, I might switch over to the Nanlite. These little Nanlites look really cool. I've seen them in person and they look like they're strong enough to do exactly what I need. They're also smaller than the Lume Cubes. So this is where I'm going to be putting my money going forward. I don't have them yet. I haven't used them, but that's what I would recommend for you all to get. Again, use these throughout the day when you need a pop of light real quick and you don't feel like popping out a flash, and or for sparkler exits. And then to bring all this together, you need a good camera strap. Now, I have been a huge fan of Holdfast gear since I started. I still have my original Holdfast gear Moneymaker, which holds 2 cameras at the same time. I cannot shoot a wedding without this. And again, if you're going the prime lens 2 camera bodies route, you absolutely have to get this strap. It will enable you to quickly go between both of your cameras. And honestly, I have no big like gripes against it. I've been using it for 12 years now, and it is my go-to camera strap. They also make solo camera straps and just like regular camera straps. But the biggest thing here is don't get a strap that goes around your neck like the one that comes with your camera. Get rid of that thing immediately. First off, it makes you look like an amateur if you're actually using it. So no offense to anybody, but seriously, like, get something else. And second off, for 6 to 8 hours, having a camera around your neck is not it. Trust me, it hurts. And I'm sure people will argue in the comments below, like, oh, what about having it on your shoulders? It's really not that bad. I know right now everyone's really into the spider holster that goes around your waist. Personally, it looks slow to me. I could not even imagine using that system. It looks super slow. Now, again, it depends on your approach. So no offense to anybody, but for me, I love being able to quickly grab my camera and whip it up. You feel like a cowboy, you know, you like drop. It's just so fast. So a good camera strap, hold fast gear is absolutely amazing. They also make camera bags, which will help you out as well. So we're not done yet with the must-haves for your first wedding, because like I said again, when you get back home to your office, this is the most important part for wedding photographers. I know you're stressed out about camera settings, how you're going to take the photos, how you're going to pose the photos, but once you get back home, trust me, this is more important. First off, get yourself some external SSDs. And I'm sure you're thinking to yourself like, oh, I already know about that. I have one already, but you need more than one. You need at least 2 of the exact same size so one can be a backup. If you're not backing up your data, you're putting your whole business at risk. So this is a must-have for your first wedding. If you want to see one of my videos about how I back up my photos, here it is above. But basically, when you get home, the first thing you're going to do is take your SD card, plop it into your computer, and import it. Now, in Lightroom, there's a setting where you can actually import to multiple locations. This is something you can do in Lightroom Classic. If you're just using normal Lightroom and you don't see the point of Lightroom Classic, but you want to build a wedding photography business, trust me, move over to Lightroom Classic. This feature alone is worth it. With this feature, you're importing to 2 locations at the same time. So if you go ahead and you buy those 2 SSDs, what you can say is, hey, I'm going to import to my one external where all my photos live, and I'm going to import to the second one, which will just be a backup. You can do that immediately while you import. You don't have to like import and then go find the folder and then drag. You don't have to do none of that. Just import it right there from Lightroom. And honestly, if that tip was mind-blowing for you, you got to check out my Lightroom course. It'll help you learn how to import, backup, and also edit your photos in a smooth and consistent way so that you have a process for your weddings. Because going forward, once you start having 10, 20, 30 weddings a year, editing becomes a whole different thing. And if you don't have a process, you're going to burn out. So definitely check that out as well. With your 2 SSDs that are the exact same size, now you have your backups. And this is again why I don't do the whole like buy 50 billion SD cards and never format it, to make sure, like, you should never have a fear of deleting your stuff because you should have multitudes of backups. So with the 2 SSDs, you can have your photos on both, and you still have your SD card, which again, if you have a couple of sets, you're not going to format that one for, you know, a couple of months at least. Then after that, you need to get yourself a good cloud backup system as well. I personally have been using Backblaze. Backblaze, you install it on your computer, and then pretty much it consistently backs up at all times. And you can tell it to back up your SSDs also. Keep in mind, however, that if you're on a laptop, those SSDs do need to be plugged in. So if they're not plugged into your laptop, they're not getting backed up at all. But Backblaze, in my opinion, is one of the best and easiest ways to do a cloud backup. And this way you know that you're getting everything backed up. And then I'm extra at this point. I have the 2 SSDs, both backing up to Backblaze onto the cloud. Then I also have a NAS, which is huge, and I'll make that thing like 20, 30, 40 terabytes. And I'll also back up the photos there as well. So I'm having like 3 to 4 backups. Again, this is wedding photography. These are people's weddings. You're taking money for it. If you don't have multiple backups, you're doing your couples a disservice. This list of gear is the absolute must-have for your first wedding to keep it simple. I know a lot of people will tell you there's all these things you need to have and all these accessories, and they are good, but just to start out, honestly, you can get by with the bare bones. If this list was helpful for you, please sound off in the comments below. Give this video a like, give it a subscribe, and share it with other photographers. And if you love this wedding photography education, check out this playlist here. I have many more videos like it. I hope this was helpful. Catch you all next time.